Okay, so you already have a 2.4 video, but after you were watching that, the problems may not quite match. I just didn't have a chance to redo all of the video, but we do have one part on here I'm going to cover in this video, and it's only for example 4 and 5. So the graphs of degrees 1 and 2 are linear functions and quadratic functions, respectively. Graphs of 3, 4, 5, and 6 have a distinct number of curves. Okay, so here's graph 1 and 2. Whoop. 1 and 2 are not on there. I'm not sure why it says that. Okay. Not sure on that one because none of these. I'll have to redo that typo, so sorry about that. All right, graph 3, 4, 5, and 6 do have distinct number of curves. So a linear function would be something that's just a straight line. It can go this way, it can go this way. That would be a linear function. These are going to be, a quadratic function would be something that, let's go look at a graph. This would be a quadratic function. This would be a quadratic function. These would have quadratic functions, okay? So these are also quadratic functions. So it's a parabola. Quadratic functions we usually look at as a 2 degrees or a degree of 2. These actually have more curves. So this has a degree of 3. This one has a degree of 4. This one has a degree of 5, and this one has a degree of 6. And how do we know that? Well, we can tell by looking at the number of curves. So on graphing a polynomial function, we talked about using the max number of turning points of the graph to check whether it's drawn correctly. So n is our degree, minus 1. We talked about this on the previous video. So if our degree is 5, the maximum number of turning points would be 4, because 5 minus 1 is 4. If our degree was 3, 3 minus 1 would get us 2 turning points. So on this one, we can look at there's 1 turning point, 2 turning points. Those 2 curves tell us how many turning points. So instead of subtracting 1, we're going to add 1. So 2 turning points plus 1, that gets us 2 plus 1 is 3. For this one, we have 1 turning point. We turn again here, that's 2, and down here is 3. 3 plus 1 would get us 4. Here we have a turning point, 1, turning point 2, turning point 3, turning point 4. And what do I mean by turning point? It's where it changes directions, where the graph goes from up to turning down or from down to turning up. So since this has 4 turning points, 4 plus 1 would get us a degree of 5. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turning points. 5 plus 1 is 6. So we are going to look at graph 4 and 5. It's on your handout. I have a bigger version of it here. All right, so first thing we're going to do, so for example 4, so we're looking at, let me move the graph over and I will write under it this way. So what's the minimum degree? Min degree. Well, on this graph, we have 1 curve, 2 curves, 3 curves. So 3 curves plus 1 will get us a degree of 4. All right. And then, so this would be part A. What's the minimum degree? Minimum degree is going to be 4. And part B is what's happening with the graph. So is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Well, when we look at this, we know what's happening with the graph. We're looking at what the leading coefficient. So leading coefficient, again, I'm going to write as LC. Because our leading coefficient goes down, because this is our deal, and we have an even degree of 4, which also we're sure about because the graph goes in, they're both down, so that tells us it's going to be even. Because if they both go down, then our leading coefficient is negative. Okay? Let's look at number 5. So for example 5, we have 1 curve, 2 curves, 3 curves, 4 curves. So our min degree again, this is part A. We have 4 curves. 4 curves plus 1 will get us a degree of 5. All right, and then part B, what is our leading coefficient? Well, our graph goes like this, and we know that this is an odd degree because they go opposite, and because this side is going down, we start from here, our graph is going downward, then we know that it's going to be negative. And if you don't remember, you can look over at the page next to it. Here we have odd, positive, it's growing up. Odd, negative goes down. Even up, even down. So that tells us our positive and our negative. And you can again refer to this little part right here. Excuse me, so sorry. So that is the 2 questions that were not answered in the previous video.